Well, hi, my friends. This is Jay, and this is Jay's Knit and Purl Jam. Oh, well, did you miss me? I was just missing in action just for a few days. Nothing wrong, nothing going on, no more than anyone else. It's tax season, and I've had a lot of stuff to get ready so we can get it to our CPA and all that. And, after this year, I just wasn't feeling it. I wasn't organized like I normally am, and it was just like a burden. But hey, such is life. All right. First of all, I'm sorry, I'm not going to be on camera. I'm going to wait till the project is over to be on camera to give you a show and tell and a sit down chit chat. Because I have had so many problems trying to come up with this little project. It's a project that I had, I've wanted. We're working out of the knitting modular book. All right, so we're doing shawls, and I've got several shawls ready. That need to be filmed. The project is ready, but for some reason, I had this in my mind that I wanted to do another top-down raglan sweater and use a chart out of this book, and hence I started working. I went to work and I came up with a design, and I've been working it. Then I had to take it loose and rework it. Then I had to take it loose. I was just about ready to give up. And lo and behold, I think it's going to be okay. Now, what I'm going to show you tonight, since I'm not going to be on camera, I wanted to get right into it. Tonight, I'm showing you the project with all the flaws. So when we do work the project, you will get the corrected version. Okay, does that make sense? Because I designed from stitch books, so I had to design this from scratch. I had to come up with some numbers. I'm gonna give you the schematic and working formulas on this video, and but I have to use the wrong version to show you how I had to make it right. I thought it would be interesting for you to see that. I don't know. It's a lot of work, for people to leave sometimes the haphazard messages and not even taking into account all the work that a lot of the YouTubers with, all the step-by-step content and all the information they want to give you and the patterns and all of that. For people, that takes a lot of work. And so I thought just tonight, as we get started, I'm going to show you all the mishaps, and then when we start working, you will get the corrected version. Does that sound great? All right, first of all, this is episode 182, and this is Jay's Knit the Spring Fling Raglan Lace Sweater. I'm kind of looking off to make sure I get it right. I'm bad about my names. Jay's Knit the Spring Fling Raglan, because we're working top down, lace, pretty lace sweater. Now, the problems I had to work through to get this sweater to present to you. All right, first of all, I wanted to try, I'm always trying to add, thinking, well, okay, let me do something a little different. We do the same thing over and over. That's one thing you can count on here. I know nobody else would probably say that, but here you can count on. We're going to try to use the same steps or try to work in the same rhythm or pattern, because that's what I'm used to, and it's easier to follow. And, as seniors, some seniors don't like a lot of abrupt change. I don't. I've found that as the longer I stay on YouTube, I get up in the morning and the YouTube computer has come in and rearranged my whole desktop or, updated something. Well, that just throws my whole system out of whack. My mind, my spirit, my mojo, everything just goes out the window because I have to figure all that back out, put things back to where I could recognize them and know what to do, and then do what I need to do. So, All right, so first of all, but I wanted to try, I'm up to trying things. So on this sweater, the first mistake I made, or the first problem that I came up with when I started working my pattern, is the neckline. Okay, I've done raglan sweaters before. I think I've have 3 up or 2 up or something like this. So this is just another one. I'm going to call this a little more advanced one. And so this may not be for beginners, okay? But I wanted to give my seasoned knitters something if you weren't into the shawls, because we're going to go right back into shawls. But I want to give you something different. So I worked a garter stitch neckband, because you see a lot of that in a lot of the patterns. And so I thought, well, let me try the garter, where you just knit every row. Maybe for 6 rows, just knit every row. And you get this, what we call a garter neckband. But this neckband turned out to be so flimsy, and there's no support. It stretches. Look, I had to put a safety pin in the back just to try it on to make it fit my neck. And I worked my, just like I would do my regular sweaters, and using, I'm used to doing 1x1 ribbing. This thing just stretches totally out of whack. So I had to put a pin just to get some kind of neck support for this. And then, of course, it has to do with the yarn that I'm working in. I work on a number 9, and we'll cover all this later on as we get on into the tutorial. And then I use just a regular medium number 4, not heavy, but more medium number 4 yarns, and we'll cover all that. But so I took the pin out so you can see there's the neckline. So that was my first problem. But as you can see, I went ahead and knitted the sweater thinking, well, okay, because I had gotten so far and I was tired of taking it out because I wasn't making any progress. Pulling back, taking the whole thing out, starting over. I tried every yarn. I would switch yarns thinking, well, maybe it's the yarn. I don't know. But it's raglan. You can see here's my sleeve over here. And you can see the increases. Now the increases I like, we're just going to do regular, easy knit into the front and into the back. Because some of you had said in some of the other raglan, Jay, I don't like the holes as much, when you do the yarn overs. And so this is just an easy fix. That's not a big deal. So that'll be something we'll do in this one. We'll just do knit into the front and the back of a stitch, and you won't have to worry about the yarn over hose. It does make it hard to keep up with the increases, but I've tried to figure out something for that too. Alright, so now let's move on down. Let's see, what else did I have a problem with that I wanted to... Well, the whole premise of this is to use one of the charts out of Melissa Leitman's book. Now let me make sure I'm on. Yeah, this is a book we're working out of. Oh, there's a glare, sorry. The Melissa Leitman Knitting Modular. And it's just full of beautiful charts that we are working shawls. But I was determined to try to make something else. I wanted to make another garment. I wanted to see if I could modify the stitch enough to use it in another garment. So on this particular garment, let's see if I'm on. I never know where my camera is. Oh, there. Okay, yeah, I'm on this side right here. Okay. All right, so we're going to work chart number 38. This is for those that have the book, because like I said, I advise you, if you just don't feel chart ready, because everything out of this book I work, it's going to be by the chart. I'm not doing robot where I actually read it, but it's in here for those that say, no, I feel more comfortable reading the rows, Jay. Well, it's already in here, so it's like double for your money. You can work the chart, or you can work it row by row. All right, but I will definitely be working charts. So here's a chart here, and this is the little stitch that or the lace that I want to put in, that I wanted to put in the front of the sweater. Okay, well, as you can see, this is the same type of chart that I put in the back of the shawl. That first shawl, the shawl we just finished. And I have several shawls already, like I said, ready to go. I just need to film them. All right, so they will be coming up soon. So my next thing was, how could I get this particular stitch and the way it's formed in a wedge into this sweater? The Jay's Spring Fling Raglan lace. And then it came to me, just simply put it in the front as you would do in case this was a, just like a shawl. But I'm going to put it on the front edge. Now you may not, this yarn is rather dull and dark, and that was another problem. When I started this, it was cold. So I had a heavier yarn than this, had worked I don't know how far down. And then it got hot here. I'm in North Metro Atlanta. It got hot. My hot flashes even had started kicking in. I had to just stop that yarn and go get this yarn, a little lighter. And now I'm going to work one even lighter than this one. So the season and the temperature also had, was playing havoc with my designing process for this project. But nevertheless, the show must go on. So here is the lace. I'm just going to hold it up from chart number 38. And I simply put it on the front edge. And then, as you can see, after I got so frustrated, I stopped. I worked all this far down. Now you tell me if we don't deserve some thumbs ups or some nice comments or just some help every once in a while. I have knitted this sweater that has no purpose. All this will be taken loose when I am completely done with filming this, the new sweater. The sweater we're going to work step by step on this tutorial. This is just the one showing you my prototype and the one that had all the problems. Does that make sense? And what's so pretty about this, once we get into the, we start the new sweater, and of course lighter yarn, like I said, because my hot flashes are kicked in and it's hot here, you will get this beautiful, you remember on my shawls how they twirl at the end? This will give you the same effect. It will be a kind of a shawl front sweater. I can't hold it up here because my space is limited. But it will be, since I'm working in a lighter weight yarn, it will give you the twirl effect on the end, just like if you were doing the shawl. You remember how pretty that looked when we did the top-down crescent shawls. Okay, so now, does that kind of help you understand a little bit of where I'm coming from and why sometimes some projects just take longer than others? I like long projects. Everybody doesn't. But like I say, I'm trying to do them in step by step because I just like it. I'm excited to bring something to life, to get an idea and then to see, even though, yes, this is a wasted sweater. My body feels it too. But like I said, it's worth it because of your support, you encouraging me, and you just make me feel, Jay, I appreciate what you're doing. And that's all that it takes. I'm a pushover. I'm a pushover. for a few kind words. All right, so there is this. I'm going to just let you look at it for a minute, and I tried to take some pictures at the beginning. They weren't like as nice as my pictures usually, but like I said, this is going to be taken loose once we're done. What I want to do now is to go ahead and let's get started on showing you the schematic of the new presentation of this sweater idea. Jay's knit the Spring Fling Raglan lace sweater, and I got the schematic, and then I also I'm gonna get you started, and so you can get right into it. You waited, and I'm just here to hope you like what I finally came up with. All right, back in just a minute. All right, my friends, let's go ahead and get started with the first schematic. The first schematic is for maybe a size medium to maybe a large person. you know, just a nice sized person. We will be using, of course, all these, my designs are gauged with a number 9 needle on, like I say, number 4 weight or medium weight yarns. If you're small enough, a smaller size, you prefer a number 8 needle, you just don't like the number 9s, these numbers will probably work for you if you're a medium to maybe this size, medium to large. You're not a large, fluffy person. You're just a nice size. It will just make a tighter fabric because it's a smaller needle, just a little smaller. But for us that are fluffier, please don't try to use with these numbers. You'll have to come up with your own numbers or whatever. But this is gauged with a number 9 so that I, as a fluffy person, can wear this sweater when I'm done. Does that make sense? All right, so let's go over the first schematic. And it's just a simple little drawing and just writing down basic information. And like I said, this is for a U.S. number. I'm just saying a U.S. number 9, but whatever. Any brand. I don't get into brands and yarns and all of that. I just simply tell you I'm about this. I'm about learning. I'm a visual learner, and I'm teaching you step by step and sharing with you how the thought process. So for medium to large, we're going to have an increase. The increases are the raglan increases. And I usually start with 22, 24. They're like, just a couple stitches above. So 22, 24, 26, 28. All right? So for this size, you're probably going to have to make at least 24 increases for each, the sleeve for the increase section, the raglan section. Okay? Now let's go over here to this simple drawing. Here's the neckline. Here, and then here's that lace. Remember the lace coming down the front? It comes down because it's like a wedge shape. And so now your neck for this size, medium to large, you're going to have 28 stitches. 28 is your number. All right? This is just a schematic for this one. The sleeve on each side, you're going to start with 8 stitches, 8 stitches. So when you're casting on, I'm giving you the numbers that you're going to be casting on. So each sleeve will start with 8. You will probably be increasing up to about 52 stitches because you're not a large person and you don't have, maybe your arms are not, your arms are going to be on the smaller size than maybe, my size. So I just by sheer math, nothing is set in stone and nothing is perfect, people. But 52. All right, so here's a sleeve, here's a sleeve. Now the front is this whole section that comes around here with the lace. It comes around from that sleeve. And I'm going to put in 15 complete. I'm going to add 15 stitches in this area. 15 stitches. And it's going to be divided in this way. 5 stitches that's going to separate the front from this sleeve. From each sleeve, you're going to have 5 stitches. They're just separation stitches. Then you're going to have 5 more stitches for the lace. Now, you remember in the book, we're working from the charts in the book. And you remember I just overrode row 1, 2, 3, 4. Remember in the shawl, I said we're going to start, most of the charts that I'm going to use will start at row 5. So you will have 5 stitches for the lace, and then I went ahead and just made it easy. I was going to do 3 and 4. I hope 5 is not too much. I'm thinking 5 might be too many stitches, but 5 stitches for a border to end this front here. So 5, 5, and 5, 3 times 5 is 15. Now, your cast on number, you will simply add 28 and 8 and 8, you got the 2 8s for the sleeve, so that's 16. Then you have 2 fronts, and they're 15 apiece. 15 here, 15 here. That comes to 74 stitches. And since I'm not dealing anymore with that garter stitch neck, we are going back to our 1 by 1 ribbing. When we work in flat, I need an odd number the way I do my ribbing. So 74 plus 1, your total cast on for a medium to large is 75 stitches. Does that make sense? Are you on the same page? I'm going to let you just look at that just for a moment, because you can put it on pause and you're going to draw up and write down this schematic if you medium to large. All right. Those are your numbers. Now, here we go. Now, probably have to change the camera, move it up a little bit. Yep, I have to move it up. All right, for the next person, I'll come back to my size. I'm in the middle. You know, I'm always kind of in the middle. That's how I can kind of gauge different sizes. You know, I'm not an expert. I just like the complexity of trying to figure out numbers for patterns. All right, now, so we're going to jump over our size, and we'll come back to most people are in the middle. But if you are a 2X or 3X, okay, you have a little more fluff. We're still working with the number 9. See, that's going to help give ease to that yarn. Not big and sloppy and makes you look all, you know, it's just going to give you just a little ease. All right, so your increase number will be 28 increases. In other words, you're going to increase when in the raglan section until you have at least probably 28. It's probably going to take about 28. Larger sizes, and if you're taller, just a taller person than, you know, like what I am. All right, so let's go over here to the drawing. So I made the same schematic. Now look, your neck, the back of your neck, is represented by 36 stitches, just because you're just a broader, maybe taller person, you know. All right, then your sleeve count, we're going to move it up to 12. That's just 4 more stitches than my sleeve count. 2 more stitches, I'm sorry. I'm in the center, but 4 from that smaller person. So we're up to 12. That person was 8. I'm going to be 10, so you're 12. So 12 here and 12 here. So that makes, we're probably aiming at least 60-some stitches for the, you know, to increase up into, to increase the sleeve until you get around 60 stitches. We're going to cover all this when we're actually knitting. Then everything else is the same. You get the same 5 stitches for separation, you get the same 5 stitches for the lace, and you get the same 5 stitches for the border. That represents 15 for this front, 15 for this. Now if you add 36, 12, 12, where we're going to start, 36 and then a 12, and 12 on this sleeve, and then 15 for this front, and 15 for this front, you get 90 stitches. And because we're going to do the 1x1 ribbing for the neck and not that garter stuff, I need to add 1 more stitch because I need it to be an odd number, so your total cast on number is 91. 2X to 3X, 91 stitches for the neck. Does that make sense? All right, I'll let you look at that for a moment. Make sure you make your schematic. And then now I'm going to go to my schematic, or the one in the middle. All right. This is where a lot of people will find themselves. Now I'm believing I can see that you can see all this. All right, on this schematic, this is for the 1X to 2X. Sometimes I'm leaning a little 2X over, but that's okay. I'm closer to 2X than I am to 3. So from 1X, you're above large. So 1X to 2X. And I just use numbers that I know from, if I go buy a top from Walmart or from TJ Maxx or Target or somewhere. I'm just using basic numbers. Okay. All right. Now, for me, I know that I'm going to need at least 26 increases on my raglan, you know, in the raglan section. I'm going to have to keep increasing till I have probably at least 26. Working on my number 9 needles, okay? I can't use the number 8 with these numbers because I'm just too fluffy now. When I came on YouTube, I used number 8s all the time. They were my favorite needles. But it will make a tighter fabric, and I will not be able to wear the sweater. So I have to use a number 9. I had to move myself up. All right, so now let's go over to the drawing. The neck, this is the back of the sweater. We're going to start with 32 because we're working in the ribbing, so the ribbon is going to pull in the stitches. Where that garter stitch from the sample you saw, it just got looser, and it was just, you saw how it looked. So for 1X to 2X, I'm going to have 32 stitches. For my sleeve, I'm going to have 10 stitches here and 10 stitches here. The fronts are the same in all the three schematics. 5 stitches to separate. 5 stitches for the lace, because that's where we're going to start on the chart. The chart starts at row 5. Those are rules that were already set in for me that I decided when I decided to use this book. I made my own rules. And 5 stitches for a border. So that comes to 15 for this side and 15 for this. Now if I add 32, 10 and 10, 15 and 15, I come up with 82 stitches. Well, yeah, I have to cast on 82. Then I need one more stitch because I'm going to do the 1 by 1 ribbing. So that puts me with an odd number, and that's what I need, and I'll show you why for those who don't remember or just new to my knitting. All right, so my total cast on number is 83. All right, now once you do your schematic here, you write it, draw it up on just a piece of paper. It's like a little cheat sheet, so it'll be right with you. All right, I'm going to cast on the ribbing, and I'm going to show you how how I get started on the 1 by 1 ribbing, but we will work 6 rows. We will work up to row 6, which will be the right side row, and that's when we'll start actually knitting. All right, so now I'm going to let this sit for just a second here. You look at it. If this is your size, draw up this schematic, write this information. And then I put mine in a protector because I always want to keep, because when we do this sweater again, and we will, we'll maybe do one in the summer, make one even lighter, or we may do one in the fall and change the yarn where it's a little heavier, a little coarser yarn. Well, we probably can use the same, if you get a good fit, we can use the same schematic. So you want to keep this. All right, so I simply take mine. I put it in my protective fold, my protector, so that I can work on it. I know exactly where it is. All right, so now I'm going to get some yarn, and I'll come back and show you the next step. We're moving right along. Back in just a minute. All right, so I have cast on my number from my schematic for my size. I'm the 1X to 2X. I have 82 stitches plus that one extra to make it 83 so that I can do my 1 by 1 ribbing, which I do the same way every time. All right, so here are my stitches. I'm on my number 9. Let's make sure that I didn't pick up a wrong needle by mistake. Sometimes always check, make sure you didn't pick up an 8 or something else, but I see it on here. All right, now when I start my ribbing, this is just a little recap for those who are new to or who are joining me. My son put me on Instagram, so we've got some new people joining us and new followers, and I hope that you will let you know that you're welcome, and hope you'll become part of our family and our fellowship. And we're just it's just a great place to be, especially if you are a little on the seasoned side or a little on the fluffier side. We have room. I have a big tent over here. So, all right. Now, once I cast on, so we can go ahead and get started with this. This first row, if you look, you can see there's little bumps. So I always call my ribbing the first row the wrong side. So row number 1 will be a wrong side row for me. And I start it this way every time. And every time my ribbing always comes out beautiful and perfect. Yes, it does. So I don't like to mess with things that work well. I just use it over and over, and that's what you will find here. If you're a visual learner, and I really hope this will get you into knitting. And of course, if you are a knitter, then please, by all means, share things with us. We love to learn. All right, so the first stitch, let me just say this. A lot of people slip their first and last stitch or whatever. I knit the first and last stitch. So stitch number 1 here and the last stitch are not part of the ribbing. All right, they're just simply an edge stitch or stitch that I knit on every row. So I go ahead, I make sure my tail's out of the way, and so my first stitch I will knit. This is row number 1, but it is a wrong side. But the first and last stitch for me, I knit. Then the yarn comes in front. Now I start the ribbing, the 1 by 1. I purl 1 stitch, and then yarn in back and I knit. Then yarn back in front, then purl, then in back, knit. I'm just kind of going over this real quick just to kind of, we want people to feel comfortable coming in. I don't try to change anything you already know. You do you. However you do your ribbing is fine. I'm just showing you because this is what you will see on my channel. And every time I do something, it's always the same. That way I don't have to think or concentrate on this part. I've got more things to worry about, like trying to get that, get all the other stuff taken care of. So I try to keep it simple. Keep it moving. And now, it took me a lot of years, but I'm learning little by little, trying to keep it a little shorter. And, so much to learn. So I'm going to go ahead and continue to work across. This is row number 1. It is a wrong side row. I will see you as we get near the end to make sure we all end the same. Okay? Back in just a minute. Remember, we're doing the 1 by 1 ribbing. Alright, so I'm coming to the end of our first row. And let's see, if you get lost or you need to go back and get distracted, just go back a few stitches and go knit, purl, knit, purl, knit. And then I'm going to purl. Now, I started with a purl stitch in the ribbing, so therefore I should end with a purl stitch on this end. So knit, purl. Now I'm going to knit. Just want to make sure you end it. Then purl. Then knit. Okay, now I have 1 stitch and that last edge stitch. So I just did a knit stitch, so yarn in front. Now I'm going to purl the last stitch of the ribbing right here. If I can get up under it. So that's the last stitch of the ribbing. Now this is just my edge stitch. I knit on every row. I knit the first and last stitch. Some people slip, some people knit through the back loop. Whatever you do, you are welcome to do. Now we have just simply finished row 1 of our 1 by 1 ribbing. Now all you have to do is just stack each stitch upon each other. When you turn the work, again, I start with my edge stitch. I knit it on every row, so I knit that stitch. Now I can just simply read my own work. And of course on the front, if the row 1 was the wrong side, then row 2 is the right side. So it starts with a knit stitch, so I knit, and then yarn in front, and then I purl the next stitch. Now you can read your own work and stack the stitches on top of each other. Knits on top of knits, purls on top of purls for the 1 by 1 ribbing. Alright? So now we need to do this. I want you to do that for at least 6 rows. Well, 5 rows, because row number 6 will be the right side. So I will meet you back at row 6. It will be the right side, and we will all be together, and I'll give you the next step. So you're just working your 1 by 1 ribbing, reading your own work. Make sure if you get distracted, go back a few stitches and just check it, and make sure you're stacking the knits on top of the knits and the purls on the purls. All right, I'll see you back at the beginning of row 6, the right side. Okay, real quick, I've got my sample worked off camera, so real quick though, I forgot to just give you an idea of what yarn I use. Any of this number 4, this is just out of my stash. Like I said, you choose and pick. You know what you want. You know the feel you want. You know the quality you want. Whatever you want. If you want some hand-dyed yarn, that's fine. I don't know about if these numbers work with wool, because you have to be careful with wool shrinking, so that's just up to you. But this is just some Red Heart Soft. That's the only Red Heart that I really like to use, because it does have a great feel to it. But Red Heart Soft, there's that. We're talking at least, I would have at least 3 skeins for this sweater, and if you're a larger, taller person, then 4 skeins. Go ahead and have at least 4 skeins on hand. 3 to 4 skeins. All right, so that's Red Heart Soft. Here is Heartland. This is a favorite for most just regular everyday knitters. You just want some yarn to knit with. Okay, Red Heart, not Red Heart, Lions brand Heartland. Lions brand Heartland. Okay, and I would have at least 3 skeins of this or whatever, so that you can finish this. This is just some that you just pick up at your local store if you want to. Yeah, it's up to you. I don't get into that. I'm just showing you what I have on all this yarn that I have in bins and bins and bins. And I'm telling you, one day the Goodwill is going to win the lottery, win the jackpot with all the yarn I'm going to have to get rid of. And this is like Premier's old yarn, or this is Lions brand Basic Stitch Anti-Peeling. Really nice, okay yarn, just for fun. If you're just a novice knitter and you just want to knit, you're not trying to be in the clique. You just want to knit. if that's what you want, that's what I like to do. I'm just knitting, people. All right, this is Cairn Simply Soft, and that's what I'm using. Yes, it splits, but I got so much of it. Hey, it's either throw it away or use it. I don't know what you're gonna plan to do with all yours. So I'm trying to use a little bit of it before I have to throw it all away. Isn't that something? Don't have to throw all this yarn away one day. Nobody can take. When my friend Judy died, we had so much yarn of our own, we couldn't even take her yarn. Her husband was nice enough to offer her craft stuff to her friends, but we took a little bit here and there, but we had our own stuff. I didn't have anywhere to put the stuff. And some of the stuff I did take, because I felt guilty if I didn't, in my spirit, in my soul, in my heart. I thought, oh my God, Judy, And then I kept it for a year. Kept it in a bag or a box for a year, and then eventually I had to take it off. I just didn't have nowhere to use it. Put it. She had beautiful stuff. All right. So here we go. Here is I know what you're going to say right off the bat. I did this off camera. Let me check, because I have to pull back in because I pulled out for the yarn. So let me pull back. All right, so I did my neckband 1x1 ribbing off camera, and I know the first thing you're going to say when you get through is, Jay, this is too small. It's not going to fit my neck. Well, we're not making a cardigan. Okay, this is a top-down raglan, but this is not supposed to meet in the front like a cardigan. So it's not going to come around and meet like that. No, it is going to form like a V neck when you see it. I can't bring back the other sample, but just trust me on it. It's not meant to meet. So it does look small, but it's not. It's going to fit you just fine. You're going to see. All right, so the next thing, I have worked 5 rows. Remember, all the odd numbers were the wrong side. So now, after working row 5, I find myself back on the right side on row 6. This is the right side of my piece of work here, and it is row 6, just so that we're on the same page. Does that make sense? Now you're going to need some markers, because we're going to start to knit. And I found on this one, if I went ahead and placed my markers, it would help a lot. So I've just got some markers. In fact, I just got them in from Amazon. I picked up, I didn't need any people, but I had to order something. My husband wanted me to order something. So, we have Prime and all that, but, if I'm going to order something, I need to throw something else in there. So I looked and looked and looked. Couldn't find hardly anything I needed, but except some printer ink. I forgot to order my ink. All right, so now there's some markers. Just have at least 2 colors, some markers. All right, now we're going to knit. We're going to knit all of these stitches, knit across this whole row because I have purl stitches and knit stitches. So after you finish 5 rows and you are on row 6, you're still on number 9. I know you, like I said, it looks small, but trust me, it is going to fit just fine. So I start to knit. Now this is where you're going to look at your schematic. This is where you need to have that in front of you because this is what you kind of knit by. You're going to know where to place the markers. All right, you remember we're going to knit, and then there's knit the first 5, and we're going to place a marker. Knit the next 5, a marker. And so, well, let me just show you. Let me just show you as I go around. I used to do all of this and then come back and place the markers, and then one day it just made sense. You know, if I go ahead and put those markers in, I could really save myself a lot of time. So I have to knit 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I'm knitting off my schematic. So it says knit 5. And this is like a little border, like a little border marker. So I'm going to put a little small pink one there. You see that? Now the next thing, it says knit 5. Another 5. So then 1, this is the chart or the lace. 2, or will be. Let's see. 3, 4, and 5. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right, I put another pink marker. I want to keep that right there. So I know that this is the border. This is going to be the chart when we started. Now, after that 5, I knit 5 more. This is just separation so that I can have room so my sleeves don't run into my to the lace. So let's just go 5 more. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right, now I'm going to pick up this marker. Is going to represent everywhere that I need to make an increase on my sleeves and the back and all of that. So I'm going to put that marker there. That's my, and that these markers need to be the same color as I work my way around. All right, so I have 5, 5, and 5. All right, now the next thing is a sleeve. My sleeve count is 10, so I'm going to knit the next 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All right, let me count. My sleeve count is 10. You could either have 8 or you could have 12. So 2, 4, 6, 8, 9, 10. 10 stitches. So now I pick up this marker because this tells me where to make the increases for the sweater. This is the border. This will be the chart when we start working it. This is just some separation, just some extra stitches. Here starts my sweater. And there's 10 for the sleeve. Now, what's your back number? My back number off your schematic mine is 32. So whatever your number is, that's the next thing. And let me just remind you of this. You remember when we did the ribbon, we added 1 stitch? Okay. Well, that number is that extra stitch is still in the count. So we can either knit 2 together and take it out or just leave it. I just normally leave it. In case I need it for some reason at the bottom. So my 32 becomes what? 33. I let it ride in the back. Just leave it in there, or you can knit 2 stitches together after you do a couple of stitches right here in the corner. You can knit 2 together and be done with it. Okay? So I'm just going to knit over whatever your back number is. Remember, you have 1 extra stitch to decide whether you want to knit 2 together somewhere, like right here in the corner, knit 2 together and you're done, or just let it ride. I'm going to just let mine ride. It's just a habit. Like I said, a lot of times I'll use it at the bottom in case I want to do some ribbing or something else. I don't know. So I just let it ride. If I need an extra stitch, it's already there. So I'll do my 32 and then plus 1. Right here in the back of the sweater. Because the back is just the back. So I'm just knitting across real quick. I thought if I get this much on camera, that will catch you up. You will have something to work and start thinking about, trying to pick out some yarn, deciding on what type of yarn you want. I'm just going to knit across and I'll stop and count. Okay, let me, I don't know if that looks like it or not. No, I think I'll go a few more. Okay, now I'm going to stop and count my back section. I won't. We start with 32, so let me just count it. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20, 22, 24, 26, 28, 30, 32, and that one extra stitch, I didn't do that on purpose. It's a miracle. There's that one extra stitch. I'm going to leave it, so that's 33. Okay, but always just count again your back, make sure. 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20, 22, 24, 26, 28, 30, 32, and 1 for me makes 33. There it is. I pick up my marker, put it right there. After the back, you have another sleeve on this side. For me, it is 10 stitches, so I'm going to count. Go ahead and knit 10. And then we'll count and put a marker. Now, I used to just do this, and then one day it says, well, why don't you just do it now? I'm trying to work smarter, not harder, people. All right, so I need 10, 2, 4, 6, 8, 9. I need one more. Now count again. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. Put this marker. All right. So now I have, there's one sleeve, here's the back, and here's the opposite sleeve. Now we're going to do the front where we do everything in 5s. So after this marker, I'm going to knit 5 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then I'm going to put the pink marker. I'm going to put one little pink marker there, or, another color. You can do whatever. Then I take out the next 5. This is the chart. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Or the lace that's going to grow in the front. Check the count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I put the last pink marker, and hopefully I have 5. If not, let's see. We'll deal with it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's the border. So I go ahead and knit the last 5 stitches. 2, 4, and 5. Voila. We have worked the first right side after the ribbing. Let me get some yarn here. We have worked that, and we have all the stitch markers in place. We have 2 colors to tell us. This is border, this is chart, this is extra. Here's a sleeve, here's the back with the 1 extra stitch in it. Here's another sleeve, extra, chart, border. Works out the same. All right, now, of course, when I turn the work, I will be on the wrong side. The border, I will knit on every row. Every time I come to my little border, see, can I just remind you? So I'm just going to knit. Okay, now all the other stitches until I reach the opposite border, you put the yarn in front. We haven't started increasing or doing anything. We're just set in the markers. Now we're on the wrong side, so I slide the marker and I purl all the stitches all the way across to the opposite border, and I will knit those last 5 stitches. Does that make sense? Okay. Just take your time. We're just purling back, sliding the markers as we go. All right, do that off camera and we'll catch up, and I'll see you at the other end. All right, so now I'm back on the right side. I finished the wrong side row, so now I'm back on the right side. Let's check and see if we're all on the same page. All the markers are in. They should match, line up, and then you have the back. All right, so now what I want to show you, we'll do this little section and then we'll stop this video. And because then when I come back with the next part 2, this is part 1, when I come back with part 2, we will be ready to work the chart. We will actually be on the chart. But I'm going to show you just how to make sure that you're ready when we come back. Alright, so on this row, after we've purled back, now I'm on the right side. Now let's just go through the paces. I'm going to knit the first 5. That's just simply the border. I knit on every row, the beginning border and the end border. Alright, just right there. Then I slide the first marker after the border, then we have the chart. Well, we're not going to work the chart right now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I simply knit. I just knit across them. Knit across those 5 stitches. I'm not ready to work the chart. I'm going to show you how we're going to, but we are going to start working the increase in the sweater. All right, after I move that second marker, now look, those are the extra stitches, but you can see, here's my first increase marker for the sweater. I'm using a nice little green marker. All right, now, every time we want to increase for the sweater, we're going to knit up to 2 stitches before the marker. 2 stitches, so let me show you. So in these extra stitches, that's why I needed the extra stitches, so I have room to increase. So I knit up to 2 stitches before the marker. See that? 1, 2. All right, it's in this stitch right here, the first one I come to. I will knit into the front, pivot, and knit into the back. And then make sure I like to tighten mine. Just give a little tug. Then this stitch right before the marker, I simply knit it. Alright, now slide the marker. That's the increase, 1 increase. Now on this side, the first stitch I come to, after sliding the marker, I simply knit. Going to be the same all the way around here. Then the next stitch is the stitch I will knit into the front, pivot, and knit into the back. It's going to make you a nice increase. It's going to look really nice. Okay, this is the only problem with this one. I don't have those eyelets so that I can easily count and tell you how many increases I've made. So I just had to, and it's too hard to say, okay, you need to mark that. You could do that. You could take a little pad, but I don't know. When we start this lace, you're going to be too busy. So I'll show you later near the end how we can kind of figure out how many increases we have. Well, the first thing, we can count different parts of the sweater to see how close we are to our designated number. That helps. Alright, so now I just knit over to the next increase marker. That's what we're calling it, the increase marker. And I knit to 2 stitches before the marker. There they are. Knit into the front and the back of this first stitch, like that. Give it a little tug, and knit that stitch before the marker. Slide the marker, knit the stitch after the marker, and then knit into the front and the back of the next stitch. Alright, now I'm at the back. So I just knit around all the way, Let me just double check, make sure. I hope I'm on so that I don't have to do this again. Thank you. So now I'm just knitting. Let me get myself some yarn. I hope you're in the mood for this Raglan sweater. I just thought it was about time we, like I said, we have all these shawls coming. But I wanted to see if I could use this book or these charts, modify them in some way, and make it a garment. I make another garment just beside a shawl. And I have a couple of other ideas. One I'm working on besides this sweater, but then I started kind of piddling around with numbers for this sweater, and lo and behold. So all I'm doing is just knitting around. Now I don't have to do this on camera, but just to end this part of the tutorial. Give you a little, kind of help your mojo, okay. Because, like I said, the next thing after this, I will be back, not on this video, on the part 2. And we will start working the chart. Okay, I knit up to the 2 stitches before the marker. Don't forget. There's the 2 stitches right there. Alright, in this stitch, the first one, I knit into the front and into the back. There's my increase. Now I just knit this stitch, slide the mark, and then I just knit the first stitch on this side. Then I knit right here into the front, pivot, and knit into the back of this stitch. Now I can knit over to the next increase marker. That's what I'm calling these, because they're increasing the sweater. Already we started out increasing. Okay, knit up, be careful, knit up to 2 stitches before the marker. Knit into the front, knit into the back, the first stitch. Alright, then just knit this stitch, then slide the marker, knit the next stitch, and then knit into the front and the back of that one. Whoops. It's going, there we go. Check it. And another thing, once we do this increase, when you do the yarn over increase, of course you can tell if you missed a yarn over or messed up one. This, you're just going to have to just pay attention and slow yourself down to make sure you remember. But if you look real hard, you will be able to go back and find that little stitch where you knit into the front and back. It'll have like a little purl bump. So it's easy to find it, but you know, when you get to going real fast, sometimes you might forget. Alright, I finished that. Now all I have to do is knit down to, well, just knit, because we're not working the chart yet. I wanted to get this the sweater stitches started. Alright, I come to that first chart marker, and then here's the chart stitches, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We simply just knit across those. We're not ready to start them. We'll start them on the next right side row. So I like to start my sweater first, which are for me, it's my little green markers. I like to go ahead and start the increase there, get myself comfortable in whichever increase I decide to do. This one we're doing knit into the front and into the back. And then on the next right side row, when I come back, then we will start working the chart and increasing the sweater stitches. So it just breaks it up and kind of helps you to get set up and get into the rhythm of what we're working on, what we're doing. So now I'm at the border, those 5 stitches, and I just lightly pull those and knit them nice. And so let's stop and take a look. Without the yarn overs, you can't really tell unless you look, or just make sure that you've done the yarn overs on the sweater. Does that make sense? Now when I turn the work, you're on the wrong side. The wrong side, you knit the first 5 stitches, and then you purl all the stitches all the way around until the last border and you yarn in back and knit those last 5. When you turn the work again, we will be on the right side. That's where I will meet you back. I will have the chart ready. We will be ready to work the chart and to continue to increase the sweater at those marks. Does that make sense? You can tell I'm running out of steam. It's about 2 o'clock in the morning, so I'm going to bed, and I want to wish you a good night's sleep and rest, and I will see you back shortly. He will get this one and get it up for you as quick as he can this weekend, and then I will go ahead and start preparing knitting, the chart, so he can pick that up, and we'll try to get it to you as quick as we can. I hope you're excited. I hope you like the project. I hope you think it's well worth your wait. And I thank you for all your support. This is Jay, and this is just part 1. So take care, good night, and I will see you later for part 2. All right, bye-bye.